Hello, everyone.
Hi, David. So good to see you.
It's good to be here.
Thank
These,
you.
these Sunday hours don't work for me very often, but I love being here when I can.
Oh, it's great to have you here. Fantastic.
We're live.
We are live. We are live here today for Cultivating Voices live poetry. If you're joining us today, this evening, morning, whichever time zone you are joining us from, we today are holding our Wildcard open mic, and behind the scenes it got even wilder than usual. We decided to open the floodgates and have as many people read as seems reasonable in our usual around 90-minute time frame. As I am able to see from the list of folks who've already been able to sign up for the reading this evening, this afternoon, we've got lucky number 21 who will be reading, and my understanding also is that Kim Ports Parsons is taking a bit of a waiting list if we can get a few more folks in. All of our readers today will be reading one poem apiece, and again, very, very grateful any Sunday that folks come out for Cultivating Voices live poetry, and always enjoy the open mics. The nice thing about the open mics for me is I pretty much, as the host, and I should say I'm your host for today, Sandy Yannone, author of Boats for Women from Salmon Poetry, and the nice thing for me is I just get to introduce fabulous poets, say your names and no bios, but what I want to remind you all of is so many accomplished people reading today, and please, please, please feel free to put information about your latest book or upcoming events in the chat for everybody to partake in. So I'm going to begin the reading, and again, just with a little bit more about Cultivating Voices live poetry. Remind you all, here where I am in Connecticut with my family, there's been a tremendous COVID surge of the Omicron. Difficult to get tests. The hospitals are full. I can attest to that, as my father needed to wait 36 hours for a bed. And we're seeing this all over. I've heard from different Cultivating Voices live poetry members, some of them letting me know that in fact that they've been going through COVID themselves. And so I just want to send out all my best wishes to everyone, because in March 2020, when we started Cultivating Voices live poetry, I don't think my sister and I certainly never expected that while we wanted to create a poetry platform, that one, we'd have the necessity to still be in a virtual space for readings, and two, it certainly wasn't anticipated that the numbers that we would be almost back to what looks like square one, at least in some of the areas here in the United States, with the kind of numbers we're looking at, and the situations in the hospitals and all of that. So again, I send out really all my best to everyone, because everyone's been touched by this at this point. And again, very glad for us to be able to gather again for another Sunday of poetry. So without further ado, let me get us started off for this afternoon. We've got some folks who are first-time readers with us, and folks who've been reading with us since way back in March 2020. I'm really grateful for each and every one of you being here today. Our first reader today is Alexandra Psarapoulou, and following Alexandra will be Isaac Cohen. Welcome, Alexandra, and I certainly, it's so great to meet you for the first time today. I mean, meet you here in Cultivating Voices. I've actually heard you before, and I know you're going to share screen with us, and we're looking forward to your work. It's a joy to have you with us.
Thank you very much.
Mm.
My visions are my torture. My visions are my comfort. Turquoise visions, turquoise flying. For those whose hearts are not tired of sowing in the field of dreams. For the journey is bittersweet, half hurt, half tenderness. Like thorny milk thistle, like sweet-smelling jasmine, accepting variety and different behaviors, going beyond wrongdoings and right doings, into new and more thriving harvests. My visions are my scrambling ascent. My visions are my sacred conquest. Turquoise visions, turquoise flying. For those whose hearts can admire the phosphorescent hopes of the sunset. For the journey is rugged, half uphill, half downhill. Like bare time in the winter cold, like bees gathering nectar from spring blossoms, evoking the rain's lament and the sun's caress, going beyond unpleasant and pleasant reactions, onto new and even higher peaks. My visions are my futile mirages. My visions are my sweetest oases. Turquoise visions, turquoise flying. For those whose hearts are refreshing fountains of muses' songs. For the journey is uncharted, half tempest, half tranquility. Like a wavy, turbulent sea on a windy day, like crystal, serene waters under the shimmering sun, sailing over low and high tides, going beyond traumatic and fond memories, into new and longed for harbors. My visions are my lightning duty. My visions are my radiant basking. Turquoise visions, turquoise flying. For those whose hearts shine brightly through storms. For the journey is evolving, half empirical, half innate. Seeing what I encounter, seeing what I know. Painting the world in dark and iridescent hues. Going beyond detrimental and beneficial beliefs. 20 new and more exquisite rainbows. Our visions are our unmanifested ashes. Our visions are our golden wings, golden visions, golden flying. This is the guitarist.
Hello to everybody.
Beautiful. Thank you for the accompaniment and for those longed for harbors, Oh, beautiful. Alexandra, everybody, thank you. All right, my friends, we move next to Isaac Cohen, and who will be followed by Matt Mooney. And folks, if you want to share where you're joining us from as well, I think everyone always loves to hear from where folks are hailing from. So thank you. All right, Isaac.
Yes. Hello, Sandy. Hello, Kim. Hello, Don. Hello, all my friends in the world. Isaac Cohen. To my mother, Mazal Cohen, of blessed memory. Dear Mommy, I speak with you every day. I know you are in another dimension, but life is real. How are you? How is the culture in paradise? In this world, there is a major epidemic. Please send me the tonic that you made from jasmine flowers to eliminate the epidemic. Our daughter is growing up. When did you return to my dimension? Thank you, Isaac Cohen, Israel, and thank you, Sandy, thank you, Kim, thank you, Don, and thank you, all my friends in the world. Bye, goodbye.
Thank you, Isaac. And how is the culture in paradise? And
Yes,
thank you for that, invoking that we receive the tonic that we all need to work through the pandemic. Thank you. Blessings. All right. Next, we have Matt Mooney, followed by Thomas Connor.
Okay, right, here I go, Sunday. Little bit of light relief first before the more serious poem. This is called The Pirate, written in about 2010. In a city on Vancouver Island, the pirate is hard at work, very industrious and indiscreet, dismissive of the motley flow, sifting through each city bin for anything to make a dime. Fit and fast with a pirate's hat, a coat of black upon his back, and on it boldly a printed crest showed a skull and crossbones. Later, at the corner of the Swan, giving all of my small change to my darling daughter as a joke, the pirate passing intervened. "I'll take it from you," said he to me. "If she doesn't want it," he added. And I handed him the lot, relieved. I couldn't see the pirate broke. May you see her children's children. That prayer he said for me and fled. In merriment it must be said. On the Dublin train, released at last from the COVID lockdown and its damned outrages, our minds and bodies listening to the even rhythm of iron wheels on rails and the swings and rattles of the speeding train in haste from station to station as we view the countryside comfortably together. There's joie de vivre in the air, coming from a trio now on board since Limerick Junction. A young lady in blue jeans, her knees fashionably exposed, engrossed in two young gents happily accompanying her. Her laughter in wave after wave spreads the brightness of her soul despite the mask that mugs her, until she fills the carriage for us with the exuberance of youth, gushing like bottled up champagne. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. And I look forward to that time when we can all open that bottle of champagne with each other. Thank you so, so much for being here this evening. Thomas Connor is up next, and then we'll hear from Eamonn Lynskey. Hi, Thomas.
Hi, how are you? How's everything?
Doing okay. Glad to have you with us to read tonight.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. I don't know who's in the room, but some of you may have heard this poem, but I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna recite it here. I was 10 when I fell in love with this girl from Brooklyn, Puerto Rican and Trini, beautiful young goddess, Catalina, her name. She was all Flatbush, Vanderveer project, salsa and reggae. She was Mighty Sparrow and Marley, La Voz y Ventura. She was Juve and Junkanoo wrapped up in all the beauty of Fifth Ave. Afro Boricua, light-skinned like me, we held hands on a sunny Sunday afternoon in Vanderveer Park. Our hearts yearned for a secret rendezvous. We dashed to the corner just to kiss. High cheekbones and amber, brown, beautiful, slightly stubborn hair. That's the other thing we shared. Perfectly matching her skin, she brandished with the hue of a goddess. She was birthed holy. I still remember her smile. Teeth, 5th grade crooked. Clothes, 81 fashion. She was a fly girl in living color. I walked her to the corner, sometimes held hands, pinky promises to never stray apart. This was our everyday for 5 years. We parted on the 6th. Reluctantly bid it adieu. We had no choice in this. Her junior high was Huddy and mine was Marine Park. I felt emotions I never knew. We were young to this world and didn't know a damn thing, but we did know we loved each other. And just the thought of her painted a better see you tomorrow type of excitement. Slowly she smiled, kissed me, then walked away. Vanderveer House is her home. Mine, East 29th Street. She made me smile even in her absence. I lost my boyhood and innocence with the crest of her smile. Then June came. Last day of school, we walked to the corner one last time, parting with a kiss on cheek that fused into lips. Still remember her cherry scent nape. And like I said before, I lost my boyhood and innocence in her smile. In the inhale of her breath, the fragrance of a new goddess, she is born. I now wonder where she is, where she lives, who she is. Does she even remember one moment of the time we spent? Hopefully, maybe, but who knows? End poem.
Wow. The open mic is full of energy today, that 81 fashion and pinky promises. And then June came. Oh man, the turn, then June came. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
So much. Thomas Connor, everybody. And next we will hear from Eamonn Lynskey, followed by Martina McGowan. Hi. Eamonn.
Hello, Sandy. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, from Ireland. Eamonn from Ireland. So, here's two short poems. The first one I wrote when I saw my first grandson curled up in his cot, newly born. I wrote this. You bend your head to enter under sleep's low lintel. Fist your hands, the better to defend this space was meant for you and you alone. You stir a little, flex a leg a little, dream of that long journey, and the pain that shocked you keeps returning. But it's fading. You begin to sense he means you well. That devious rascal, life, would like you to be happy, though no promises. The next one I wrote actually in American Kyle. I saw a few houses around the park I was in. People live their lives in places unremarked and unremarkable. Devoid of any features might attract a tourist or the curious, just lines of housing. But a line is satisfying. Morning sun on gables, beautiful. The shops and local parks and playgrounds, quietly reassuring. People need a place inside the ordinary to see beyond it. Space to pause mid household chores and wonder what it is and why it is, this living. Them's my poems. Thank you for listening.
Fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. Thank you so much. Oh,
Thank
I'm
you.
just very struck by the final lines of that last poem. All right, my friends, as I said, I'm trying to keep the editorializing down today, so hard for me, but I want to get everyone in and then some if possible. So next we go to Martina McGowan and then Bertha Rogers. Yay. Thanks, Martina.
Oh, no, thank you. And thank you, Kim. Kim set me a challenge that I tried to rise to for this occasion. Hope is the rugged wasteland we'd cross for those we cherish, the silent prayer we breathe into our hearts, wild drumbeat against the march of time, the thinning mirror through which we view this weary world, the glorious wonder of a sunrise, a gentle kiss upon a fevered brow, every unspoken dream we've ever held, desperate promises and pinky swears we've made with the unseen gods and goddesses, an unlikely songbird rising from the fires of ruin, the reluctance to give in or to give up, steeling ourselves against the final goodbye. Sometimes the hardest thing to hold is hope, but still we hold it close because it stokes the flames of joy that burn within, reminding us we too are loved in this way. Love and light, Sandy.
Whatever that challenge was, I think you met it. You met it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. All right. Bertha Rogers. Oh, so many lines in Martina's poem. And for me, it is hope being that rugged and ragged thing, rugged and ragged simultaneously. Thank you again. Bertha, you are up next, my dear salmon sister, followed by my dear friend Linda Ohlson Graham. Thank you for being here today.
Okay, glad to be here. The poem I'm going to read is a poem that for today I'm dedicating to you and your dad, Sandy. It's called The Lesson. I see him often now carrying empty washed pails, his faded green jacket fitted close to his collar, his brown-billed cap down, half hiding serious eyes. It is cold out there where he walks, and November. He passes out of sight, shows from between red buildings, open barn doors, offering steam to the chill. Laying his face to Holstein's flank, he strips milk from swollen teats, sings comfort to his cows, the child in the corner. The barn is warm and deep and full with smells. He carries pails of sloshing milk, calls the child to him, calls hurry, it's late. And I hang on the back of his seat in the old black car, all the way, as he tells me birds and I spell hawk, speak sky. Thank you.
Oh, everything is really moving today. Every poem just has something, at least something. It's so moving in it. And I'll just share briefly that when I was a little girl, my mom and my dad would some mornings wake us up to tell us that there are cows in the backyard, because they had broken through the fences of the dairy farm that was way on the other side of our house. So to have invoked kind of the cows was a nice real surprise for me along with the rest of the poem. Thank you so much, Bertha. Thank you. I appreciate that poem. So many lessons in the lesson. So many lessons in the lesson. All right, friends. We hear next from Linda Ohlson Graham, followed by Michael Durack.
Hi, everybody. It's so lovely to be here. What a wonderful group, and what's been shared so far. And I wish you all the best with your dad, Sandy. So my writing is under the name Earth, Ocean, Heavens, and I have a book on the homepage of a site by that name, earthoceanheavens.com. The byline of the book is a mini guidebook to aid humanity in entering the new age. So I thought I would share just a little sample of lines that I've written in a few poems. Has the time arrived when humanity is able to digest the remarkable reality of just how simple it could be to shift the Earth's vibration? Here, now, it's our choice, how exactly life unfolds. The entire planet could realize we create the essence of the joy. All the beings of all the worlds are watching now, so desirous of our upliftment, praying to mankind to hear the calls. They've been in a steady stream, beaming to our heart's desires, caressing what we say we want. We could see the end continuum as clearly as they do, rising in the bluest skies, fully in our heart for love, being one with God. And a lot of my writing speaks of the French philosopher Teilhard de Chardin, who created the word noosphere to describe a layer of thought that hovers above nature and acts as a universal consciousness. It's what people think of as the one mind or the collective consciousness. Chardin actually felt that our thoughts are collected in an energy field and reflected back. So for years, my philosophy has been that if enough people could intentionally quiet their thinking for a few minutes daily, it would quiet that noosphere And if that's what gets reflected back to us, incrementally, I believe it's a formula for global peace, calmer weather, and into terrorist attacks, and even insights into curing and eradicating the pandemic. So I'll close with a line. Please hold the thought with me that peace on earth and calmer weather patterns can easily happen in a moment or two of silence in enough of the collective mind. Thanks so much. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, thanks. So nice to be with you.
Linda Ohlson Graham, always bringing the collective unconscious to our screens, and that I'll go back to Martina, that hope and necessity for us to use our energies toward global peace and global healing for not only each one of us, but for the earth and the beyond our universe. So thank you for that very, very important message that you always bring with your poetry when we are fortunate enough to be able to hear you share. Thank you. I look forward to hearing now from Michael Durack and followed by Michael O'Mara.
Hi, Sandy.
Hi, Michael.
I'm coming to you from Ireland, from the border of counties Tipperary and Clare, not far from Limerick City. And I've got one short poem. It's a villanelle, and it's based on two of my favorite movies, which often appear on TV schedules around Christmas time. This year, I only got to see Casablanca. I didn't get to see the second one. So the poem is called Paris or Barricano. They'd always have Paris or Barricano, Dara and Zhivago, or Ilsa and Rick. Up on the big screen, we down below in the darkened parterre, the warm glow of compromised love washing over us from exotic, remembered Paris and Barricano. Mind hopping from Moscow to Morocco, an ecstasy of escapism from the humdrum domestic to the big screen from our seats down below. For Bergman, Bogart, Christie, Sharif and co. had little in common with the Kathleen and Mick. They'd always have Paris or Barricano, while we had Ballybunion, Salt Hill or Sligo. But hold on a minute, here's the trick. Between the big screen and down below is merely a matter of scale. Picture show and reality trade on the same emotions. The magic of love means we'll all have Paris or Barricano, whether up on the big screen or here down below. Thank you very much.
Can always count on Michael Durack to bring us the best of popular cultures. Whether it's the movies or baseball or hurling or the many other aspects. Thank you, Michael. Great to hear from you this evening. Be well.
Thanks,
All
Alex.
right, next is Michael O'Mara, followed by Lesley Traynor. Welcome, Michael. Our second Michael for today.
Home, anti-home. I cannot take you by my childhood homes. We left Bed-Stuy in the 50s when a cabbie shouted at my 4-kid juggling mom, "Lady, I don't go to that neighborhood." I can't take you by the crime scene in the burbs. Google tells me gone are the maples, roses, lilacs, the pussy willows that grew from a stick stuck in the ground. Gone, whoever did the sticking. My safe place where grandma lived, waterfalls, fireflies, sun perch, crawdads, sweet corn, and cow patties. 20 kids still cry out from that old schoolhouse. I will not ever go back there. Forget about the old postage stamp craftsman, it's a parking lot. And forget about the old country. 100 years on this cursed soil has made me a don't you know stranger to that. So here we are. This efficiency for the last 30 plus years. I bought it when I thought I was dying. You'll love it, the seller said. It's like living in a hotel. And it is, and it was, and it will do. It doesn't have that lath and plaster or the grand stone steps of Brooklyn with mamas smoking luckies in the windows and pink Spalding stoop balls flying into stickball knee-skinning streets. It doesn't have the creaking stairs, the muffled cries, or the stink of flaming, blackened, creamed corn, snow-banked pot and all, or the hiding place in the old coal room, the rafters of the lean-to garage. It doesn't have the old growth birch, elm, oak, the creeks and lakes of Sandy Hook, or even the older world, thatched roofs. It's got me, puppies, books, scribblings, the ghosts of too many dead husbands. Hello, Palm Beach. Have you checked your floodplain maps lately? Did you list a next of kin? Your sister city is somewhere in Israel. Maybe you could check out Tinder for someone a bit closer. But landlocked in the mountains. Oh, West Palm, don't you know the blue-green shark-filled ocean is coming to take us home?
Wow, that's beautiful. Wow. What a beautiful, beautiful poem. Thank you so much, Michael, Mara, for sharing that with us today. So grateful to have your voice with us. And yeah, the great images and nostalgia, just the postage stamp craftsman. I have a fond place in my heart for that one as well. Thank you. All right, my friends, as I said, I'm trying to not editorialize too much today, get us through to as many of our readers as we can. So I welcome next Lesley Traynor, who will be followed by Lenora Good.
Hi, everyone. I'm in Scotland. You can probably tell from the accent. This poem has been in lots of anthologies, and it was written for my sister when she was going through a really hard time. And she would come to my garden. Sometimes she stayed for a few minutes, but this day she fell asleep. And as she slept, I wrote this. Shh. My sister sleeps in my garden, shaded by a plum tree. The same tree the old man told me he stole from. His story, 90 years in the remembering. My sister sleeps escaping from a story she would not have chosen to write. Hers, 25 years in the forgetting. With each exhaled breath, words escape. Words she would trap if awake, malignant vapors that wreak havoc, draining her of the will to live. My sister sleeps, hummed into slumber by bees beating their wings against a blue haze of lavender, releasing its minty sweetness. As the aroma bathes her, she is pulled further into a fairy land of rest, surrendering other thoughts enter her dreams, dreams of when she is that girl again, running through a wood of lilac trees, laughing as the wind soaks us in blossoms, clusters bursting on our skin like tiny Parma violets. This I know, as she smiles when that same sweet scent drifts down from my own memorial tree to childhood. My sister sleeps. I, sentinel, protecting, wait for her to surface into deep, turbulent waters. Her life. Shh. Yes. Thank you.
Lots of comments in the chat. Make sure you take a look at them. Lesley, thank you. Thank you for that evocative, ethereal slumber of a poem that awakens each of us into something, into our own memories of where we've been in the presence of beloveds sleeping. Thank you for sharing this evening. Beautiful. Wow. All right, Lenora Good is up next, followed by Fergus Hogan. Hi, Lenora.
Hi, Sandy and everyone. I'm coming to you from Richland, Washington, high desert of the Washington state. I have a short poem and a shorter poem. Kicking it up a notch, bam, for Emerald Lagasse. Every so often I make a huge bowl of popcorn. I add a bit of extra virgin olive oil, then a little savory spice, such as ground chipotle or sumac, or sometimes za'atar. Butter, cinnamon, sugar, just a wee pinch of chipotle. Heaven in a bowl. I save the leftover sugar mix for later use. Imagine my surprise the next morning when I dumped it in my morning cereal. Oatmeal with a kicked bam. True story. My shorter poem is Moving On, after Farewell by Federico Garcia Lorca. When I die, leave my window open that I may hear the birds sing my spirit on its journey. My ancestors beat the drums in welcome. Through the open window, I feel them. Oh, when I die, leave my window open and sing me on my way. Namaste.
Namaste, Lenora, and I am certainly going to think of you tomorrow when I eat my oatmeal. Thank you so much. Next, joining us from Waterford, Fergus Hogan, followed by Kate Wegrzyn. Wow, what a pair coming up. Thank you for being here.
Sandy, sister and friends, and our thanks tonight to Kim for gathering the family together, the family of poets together tonight. And our prayers and our poems, Sandy, are for your dad tonight, for Carol, for Beth, for you. And you've held us all the way through COVID. And you're holding us now as our parents grow older too. Thank you, sister. We have a full moon tonight, friends, across the world, and it seems we only read poetry under the full moon. We have what we call a wolf moon. We sometimes call it the wolf moon or the cold moon, and sometimes we call it the spirit moon. So it's a good night to pray, to set intentions, and to hold hope in our hearts. Wolf moon, Sandy, for your dad and your mum. I wake with the dawn on the 1st of New Year, stirred by the white wolf moon. I go to the woods to make love by the lake, under the great old oak. I want to feel the touch of a soul who knows my sensuous moods. And when I cry out in the dark, it is you who is there. We walk the desire path barefoot together, between the woods and the water. The earth is sodden underfoot, wet heavy with last year's fallen leaves. You say, I will catch you if you slip, and I want to. I count footprints etched in silt on sandbanks lost in time, always pairs of them together, 3-toed, 4 and 5. 2 shell ducks stir across the water's edge, lift themselves from the shallows. They slowly fly together, parallel, till one takes the lead and the other one follows. A red squirrel keeps us company along the lane. Back through thoughts and memories, she moves from greenleaf to laurel bush to bush, through thorny holly too. Not one blood berry left this side of Christmas. Yet fairies dance all round us, in the shadows and the undergrowth of lust, till a tiny wren pops up and sings a startling song, foreshadowing the threshold. So we stop and stand respectfully. You hold me in your arms, and the years just fall away. I touch your skin and feel your breath upon my neck. I got it wrong, I say. For all those years, I should have gone home sooner, said sorry softer, forgiven more freely, and now if I could, I'd turn back time itself. I taste a saltwater tear on my cheek. You wipe my eye and smile and say, this is what it is, and we kiss. I touch your breast, and you let me. I feel your heartbeat, and forgive her. Le bra, Sandy, for mil mahagif galer.
To the wolf moon, to the wolf in each of us, to this evening, and to all that hope, to all that hope. Thank you so much. Next, we have Kate Wegrzyn, followed by, yeah, give it up for Kate, right. Followed by John Hayden. Hi, Kate. Thanks for being here. I so appreciate you.
Sandy, your editorial is exceeded by many minutes. I have rewritten my poem to 1 minute. Your word has surrounded us with love beyond belief. And I will tell everyone I love your face. Mwah! Poetry family surrounds the Yannone family. The songs of the forest bards, voices of mankind, protectors. Choirs under every steeple bell, gospel soul divine. Prayers from A to Z across the globe, voices of womankind nurture. Maypole ribboned rainbows shall rejoice in gatherings. Everywhere the poets shall chase to defeat the pandemic beast beneath its final grave. and I shall ride a mighty gray to meet you by the sea. Poets call in unison, mark my word, I will meet you there. Kindly, Kate Clare.
May we all meet by the sea, always. May we all meet by the sea, always. Beautiful. Thank you. I can't, my mom has been and was in the background a little bit, but she's on the phone with other people, and I can't wait to share everything today with her. And so thank you very much. And I know, thank you, Kate, and everyone. I have to move us along. I'd like to linger with each one of you a little longer, but you know, that's my job as the host, keep us going, keep us moving. And so we move next to John Hayden, and then we'll hear from Marcia Karp. It's such a great gathering today. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, John. Oh, that's John, I'm going to ask you to unmute for your poem. There you go. There you go. No worries. No worries.
Thanks very much for the invitation, and thanks very much for holding such a beautiful platform. I've been astounded by the poetry I've heard tonight so far. It's absolutely magnificent, and what a beautiful job you're doing as host, and Kim as well. Thanks very much for the opportunity, guys. This poem is called Sculptures. It's a small poem, a short poem that I wrote myself. So it goes like this here. We are all but molded from the earth's clay, sculptures of consciousness, here to play. My body, a manifestation, will be gone one day, but the love that is me is here to stay. We fall for the sculptures who walk with us, who talk and care from their molded dust. We fall in love and build up a trust, and the one we want known to touch, that's too much. We are all but molded from the earth's soil, but here where we reside for a short while, we can never own another's clay pile, but share in their passion, their love, and their smile. Thanks very much.
John, to the sculptors in all of us, to the sculptors in each one of us, and all the different things that we can manifest and sculpt individually and together. Wow, I love that poem. Thank you for sharing it. Wow.
Thank you so much.
Oh, beautiful. All right, I'm so glad to see Marcia Karp with us today. Hi, Marcia, and we will hear a poem from Marcia and then head north to hear from Max Vandersteen. Take it away, Marcia.
About 20 years ago, the world came to know a poet named James Henry, and there's a long story, lovely story behind it. It had to do partly with the coincidence of his name not being Henry James, but James Henry. And his book was discovered in the Cambridge University library by Christopher Ricks. And he knew that no one else had ever read the book because the pages were unopened. So Christopher Ricks sat there with his paper knife, and he read through the book, and he published the poems. There's no title to this. Just to let you know that James Henry lived from 1798 to 1876. She never in her whole life wrote one stanza. She knew no Greek, no Latin, scarcely French. She played not, danced not, sang not. Yet when death his arms about her threw to tear her from me, I would have ransomed her, not Orpheus-like, with mine own song alone, but with all song, music, and dance, philosophy and learning wherever or to be were in the world. Thank you.
What a poem, what a poem. Thank you, Marcia. Everyone, there's so many poets that gets elevated as gifts to us. And here we get to hear one today, reminded of when we're allowed to hear. I'm thinking of another one that another poet similarly named Thomas James, one book of poetry, and Lucy Brock-Broido kind of brought his poetry back kind of into the collective consciousness. So let us keep elevating each other's voices, as Marcia's done today with another beloved poet. Thank you. All right, Max Vandersteen is joining us, followed by Teresa Gallion. Thank you everyone for being here. And I'm just loving hearing all the work today. So uplifting. Thank you. Hi, Max.
Hi, thanks for the intro, Sandy. And my thoughts and prayers are with you and your family today. I am coming to you from Edmonton, Canada. And I'd like to say hi to my friend and fellow Canadian, although we're a few miles apart, David Brydges. David, you may have heard this poem before, but I wanted to read this today in honor of a man that was a good friend of mine, and I've lost him as a friend. He committed suicide a few months back, but he was from Ireland, and that's why I'd like to share it in his honor today. It's called The Blessed Day, and Ellie for Niels McCaskill. He was a millwright that I worked with for years and years, but anyways, the poem goes like this. Bonds by fellowship and duties driven, fused like the welding of metals or men. We toiled in services that were severe, still faced each hazard without any fear, and committed to complete each mission while we wished for this, no recognition. A history of trust and friendship shared, of feelings exposed and souls that were bared, of workplace tasks and many escapades, of renegades working in different trades, of swapping tools and telling lofty tales, often with smokes and sometimes over ales. Backgrounds, anecdotes, and antecedents bred from illusions that led to credence, respect for difference in each other, and belief in the union of brothers to conquer injustice and oppression and engage in a fair man's accession. From the wars and trials of Hibernia and the class struggles of Australia, we agreed eye to eye that we could see from Canada the inhumanity of the world, even within our workplace, based on religion, gender, age, and race. Discovery through discourse that disclosed chronicles of dreams and schemes we reposed, characteristic traits that manifest, such as manliness of sexual conquest, acts lustful, sometimes acrimonious, or was it truly only loneliness? Endeavors of the enterprising mind leave legends of a longing heart behind. When the body is far from home employed, passion is attraction, often decoyed. Like the distance between you and me grew, it also did with our friendship too. Repercussions of a love lost or found convert the qualities by which we are bound. And evolution of the quests we sought altered the powers and battles that we fought. Thus, aiming for different ambitions bred for both dissimilar transitions. I often wondered what happened to you. Perhaps you even thought about me too, through careers and years of surplus and drought, and surprised when you sought me out, to meet again now that we'd grown old, to write some stories that we never told. Instantly, the affinity resumed, despite anguish and sorrow that consumed now your humor, heart, and aspiration, caused by many years of separation, as detachment, heartbreak, and solitude affected the state of your fortitude. Clearly conveyed in our conversation, rejection was not the expectation upon returning home to your family, after providing for them financially and sacrificing all the younger years to ensure the household persevered. Yet shone a spark of hope in your soul, oh, you bemused me so when you let me know that I was still probably your best friend, because it's difficult to comprehend, recently meeting so infrequently, what kindled the feelings of fervency. So we reminisced of our youthful days and those of your Irish nationalist days. We recalled childhood facts and fantasies, deliberated truths and fallacies, exchanged Dutch and Gaelic words and sayings, and revealed our dearest gains and failings. Suddenly, it was all said and then done. Your stories were no more, and you were gone. There's less pain as the memories wane, but confusion and delusion still reign as a sad and subsequent consequence of your final and absolute absence. Please forgive my pronunciation for these few words, but I'd like to say, Gumbi lata vianekte agad, slango foil, mochara esfia. May you have a blessed day. Take care, my best friend. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Max, for that elegy and really that modeling of how poetry is really here to connect us to one another and really to and with our beloveds, particularly when they leave us too soon. So I thank you so much for sharing that piece of your heart and reaching our hearts today. Thank you. Thank you. Well, next, and a reminder, folks, feel free to put your books and things in the chat. Our dear friend joining us. I'm not sure from where today, because I know that you're kind of everywhere, is Teresa Gallion, and then followed by David Brydges.
Hello, Sandy. I am so glad I could be here today. I am at home. I am not on the road this time, but I wanted to be here for you and your family. And when I got the call from Kim, I was trying to find something that would be appropriate to sing to your heart. So I went back to my book, Chasing Light, and I'm going to read a poem for you that I want you to close your eyes and imagine that we're taking a walk. This is for you. And I want to wish light, love, peace, blessings, and healing to you and your family. The title of this poem is Light Beyond the Window. Feisty bucks carry lantern lights on their antlers to illuminate the path reflected in your window. They ask the sparrows to drop lyrics along the trail for you. A nightingale sits on top of the moon, serenades the skylights so they dance for you, as wolves howl under the moon's watchful eye. They know my angel wings are hidden, see us coming as they call us home. Come, dear one, don't be afraid. Let's embrace the light. Touch the tips of my fingers. Let your feet touch the. Feel the sparrow's song run up your legs. Do not fear, my dear one. My touch is holy. You are a divine spark of spirit's love. Let us walk home together today. The beloved is waiting. Thank you, and blessings to you and your family, Sandy.
Thank you. The beloved is always waiting. Beloved is always waiting. And I thank you for that. I thank you for all that light and for all that love. And I can't, I'm going to be definitely sharing that with my mom too. And if I can get it to my dad, I'll do that as well. So thank you. I so appreciate
Thank you
being here and sharing that. That call to the light. That's perfect. Perfect. Thank you. Oh, all right. Again, my friends, it's hard to, in some ways it's hard to accept, but I'm doing my best and I'm so appreciative. And I'm going to move us now to David Brydges, we followed by Anne McDonald. Hi, David. Great to see you today.
Yeah, hi, Sandy. Thank you very much to you and of course your team, Martina and Kim and Dawn, for kindly connecting us together. And I'm coming from cold Canada, but I hope this poem isn't too cold, but it does have a lampooning side to it. I've been following the Novak Djokovic soap opera Down Under this week, and happy to say that he is finally the only unvaccinated player in the Aussie Open is on a plane elsewhere, whatever. What court are we in to win? The world's #1 tennis player is an anti-vaxxer. Pseudoscientist, baseless claims out of bounds, defying modern medical lines of logic. No need for a referee in this rational stadium. Mostly unvaccinated fill ICU wards. They're dying in droves. Jovic and his delusional followers are destroying healthcare systems around the world. Only out is the imperfect vaccine and the buy-in of its citizens. More drama unravels when Australian law courts reinstate his visa early in the week. Back practicing on the tennis courts, court of public opinion grows divisive. His story has more holes than a Swiss Army target range. German media reports the first COVID test he took in Serbia was negative. 1 hour later, it changed to positive, allowing a medical exemption to defend his title in Australia. The next day, maskless, he attends a kids' event. On 2 occasions, he traveled in Serbia and Spain, which is not permitted. He lied on his visa form, but weaselly said it was an error by one of his trainers. Courting trouble with rule-breaking speed, contempt for serving the public good with volleys of disinformation. An air of arrogance thickly overhangs this saga, and he's going solo with 0 credibility. Getting out of this COVID crisis is a team sport. We know the privileged fly in private jets, they buy test kits, they have their 4th or 5th shots, they live in mansions of glorified 4-star hotels. They get into a country and flout their visa restrictions. The prophet Leonard Cohen sings, everybody knows the dice are loaded. Everybody knows the good guys lost. And everybody knows the plague is coming. This year's Aussie Open is closed to the combative ego man living in his superstar bubble for not having any balls to tell the truth, he once winningly whacked. And this poem dedicated especially to Max. Max is from down under.
Thank you, David. We can always count on you for the pertinent and necessary social commentary in your through poetry. I mean, amazing. And battling this pandemic is indeed a team sport. Is indeed a team sport. I heard it in your poem first. You can make a shirt out of it. We could make a t-shirt for that and sell that. Whew. Thank you again. I've been watching some news from time to time, and yeah, it's amazing as much news that we're getting from that one news story. So great, thank you. All right, next we will hear from Anne McDonald, followed by Marion Lovett. I'm so glad to have everybody here. Anne, thanks for coming out tonight.
Thanks so much, Sandy. And like other people have said, this is like a real call to arms, and Kim put the call out today, and it's just fantastic. And I know very few of us will have met Vinny, but I wish he knew what an army he's collected tonight, just to be here, to support you, to support him. And 2 years ago, my family was in an almost identical situation, so my heart goes out to you. But tonight, because Cultivating Voices has been a first for me for so many things, it's going to be another one. And this is a reading of a new poem from this anthology, which is being launched on Thursday night, curated by the wonderful Catherine Ronan, who's here with us tonight. And it's the Blue Mondays anthology. And I'm very fortunate to have found a way in here. And I have a couple of poems, but mostly what's really fabulous about this anthology is it's a collective of poets who have come together. Rosalind Blue, many of you know, many Cultivating Voices poets are here, Margaret O'Regan, loads and loads of people. And half of the proceeds goes to the Cork Simon community. So the poem I'm going to read tonight is a poem about hope, but it's also about a poem what I like to call, it's a coming of a certain age poem. And the male equivalent would probably be Fergus Hogan on Reaching 50, but this one is not quite so graphic. So those of us who are a certain vintage will know that, you know, some things begin to go and drop and fall off. And the other thing that women in particular of my age find that is we don't get any fucking sleep. So pardon me if anybody is offended by the language in this poem, but it is. It's called The Day is Waiting. I wish today for the jackdaw who's found his voice and chosen to greet the dawn with his own rendition of the morning chorus to fuck off to the backfield, at least until the rest of us have realized it's morning. Yawning through a cup of tea, far too strong for me, the bag left in too long, I watch fat pigeons eat fallen scraps of fat balls pecked to bits by greedy starlings onto wet grass. Is a bit of kip when it's still too dark really too much to ask? I know the jackdaw thinks it's new to the world and probably thinks they're the dog's bollocks of an alarm clock, but they could caw their heads off in the garden hedge or trees of nearby woods instead of the window ledge of my bedroom. I assume the other birds wanted to shut the fuck up too. The blue tit just wants to eat a bit of breakfast at the feeder, and if I didn't know better, I would think the pair of doves were hungover, waddling around on wet grass. We can't keep this up, I tell the jackdaw through the glass. He or she just turns its arse to me and calls away to start the day with notes that scrape the inside of my brain. And I know that no matter what I say or do today, tomorrow morning we will start the whole sorry interchange again. He or she will sing the arrival of the dawn, out of tune and out of fucks to give for women of a certain age whose only chance at sleep is right before the day breaks. It's like they're saying, get up to fuck, the day is waiting. And deep in my heart, I know the bird is happy. And when my tired bones and foggy brain agree to write off the sleepless night, I see the gift of dawn I have been given, and I know the singing jackdaw is right. Thank you, and much love to you, Sandy and Carol, and to everybody who's here tonight. It's been great.
And McDonald, thank you, and congratulations to all as part of the Blue Mondays anthology. And we're going to be looking forward to hearing, I'm sure, more poems from that. And put in the chat the launch, and hopefully some folks can join in. Wow, thank you, thank you. All right, I know that we have a little bit of a waiting list. So Marion Lovett is our final poet on this list, but we do have, as I said, we'll like to go to about 90 minutes. So I think we'll have a few more poets after, and Kim will help me out with that. So for right now, our next poet, thank you. And thank you for being here tonight, Marion Lovett.
Is the sound good, Sandy?
Yeah, you sound terrific. You're loud and clear.
It's so great to be here. Again, I'm in Sligo, the northwest of Ireland, and it's a privilege to offer my support and friendship to you at this. I know it's a really hard time, Sandy. So I've got two poems. The first one is kind of a dark poem, but actually I just felt it was the right poem for the week that's in it, as it's been a very hard week for women and girls here in Ireland following the death of a young woman, Aisling Murphy, just aged 23, who was murdered while out for a run. So anyway, the poem I have, the first poem is it's called Pray. That's Pray, P-R-E-Y. I saw him again this evening in the car park of the cinema around the entrance. That crow, a big fellow, all charcoaled, looking for easy pickings, strutting his stuff across the zebra crossing, hopping along the fat white stripes, gobbling up the popcorn, spattered like rough pearl drops onto the blackened parts that hid his face. And he pecked away furiously, all the while on the lookout for the next best thing. This time I caught his steel grey beaded eye. I stared him down, and with a low mean caw, a flourish and a fan of feathers, he scarpered. I think he saw that I saw him. My fear is for his return in my darkest dreams, where he scrapes my thighs with his talons, straddles my chest, threatens to peck out my eyes and stop my breath. So Sandy, anyway, my second poem, however, is by way of contrast, and it's I think full of light. And actually, I wrote it for my parents, so it's really tonight. I think it's appropriate for you thinking of your dad and also of your mom. So it's called Lumens. Auspicious it was the night the town turned out, bodies packed tight into the small hall, anticipation, excitement, a live wire ripping through the crowd, awaiting the magic of rural electrification. My father helped build the generator. I scanned the yellowed photo for his face. There he is, squeezed in beside my mother, her eyes shiny, her hairstyle short above the collar of her dress. The picture captures one moment, a room suddenly ablaze, each face is animated. Is there a unit of measurement for the glow of human eyes? In some suburban future, my parents would recall the night the switch was flicked when light and love transformed their simple lives. Years later, she'd complain how the kitchen fluorescents were harsh and unrelenting, and he'd disagree. But still she'd insist. The glow from an oil lamp was softer and candles more forgiving. So love and light, Sandy, and really big hugs, and thinking so much of you and your family at this time.
Thank you, Marion. You know, it's interesting because to think of the Lumens poem, I will just say I don't know if everyone knows this, but my folks for over 40 years have had a stained glass studio. And so I like to think of my dad as always building light, you know, because he's built these elaborate lampshades out of glass and has illuminated things that way. And so it was indeed a really appropriate poem, which again, I'm really looking forward and grateful to be able to share with my family later. Thank you for being here.
We're holding you in our hearts. You know that.
I do indeed. I thank you so much. Wow. Yeah. Okay, my friends. Wow. I am really very grateful that we're going to get to folks on the waiting list. Thank you. And we will next move to Harvey Soss and then followed by Rawle James. And then we'll see if we can get a couple more in. Thanks.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Let me find a poem to bring up somewhere here. There we go. First, I'd just like to direct your attention to the chat where I've posted an invitation to next Saturday's, or I guess this coming Saturday's, Artful Dodgers Poetry Open Mic with the links from Zoom and Eventbrite to register at. Balmoral Estate refers to the Scottish estate of the British royalty, going back a long ways. And this poem is called Wounded Stag Taken on the Grounds of Balmoral Estate. Its last ditch bellow toggling between pain and defiance. What visiting royals chases a 20-point monarch, the kingliest, dear, a dynast too brilliant to be employed as a coat rack, or as the subject of cocktail party conversation, wet dream of the royal taxidermist. Atop a Highland crag is a beast too splendid to be wall-mounted, excepting, of course, that magnificently spread rack waiting to be gawped at, future highlight of Balmoral's dining hall. Wounded, it plays skip to my loo with laser sights of hunters' guns. Impertinent wolfhounds nip at its street fighter composure, determined as anti-monarchist to bring it to its knees. Oh, fickle nature, where it goes, the hunt follows. And Lyme disease, through a shock of woods, across a muddled stream. Although an errant shot has torn its haunch, it is, in the fashion of a true monarch, too proud to scream when brought down by a coup de grace, as if acknowledging the king is dead, long live the queen, showing a little knee themselves in tartans by Prada, at ease huntsmen pursue second helpings of venison steak. Après dinner, Cuban cigars soaked in rum, with a constellation of severed heads floating above them, to which will be added 20 points, no longer able to turn and run. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Harvey. And next, we'll hear from Rawle James and followed by Joanne James. We've got some interesting pairings today.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you. Thank you for being
Thank you
here.
for having me. This has been a blessed event. Love to you and your family through your challenging times. So greetings from Canada, from Toronto. I just wanted to say I love you all. I do not need to know you to love you. And tomorrow is Martin Luther King's birthday. And as we look upon that and we celebrate it, I'm not sure how people celebrate it. It's a more American thing, but he had a global impact. And the reason why I'm going to read this poem is because of the times that we're living. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. And the virus that I fear most on this planet is not COVID. It's ego's fear that I see that's got so many in their grips. So my invitation is for us to remember that we are human. We hold various viewpoints, but at the end of the day, we're human. And this poem I'm going to share is not just for Blacks, it's for all humans, because I am human. I love you all. From the fringes of my consciousness, I pen this piece in hopes of inspiring an awakening from the distraction of life's bullshit. Deception casts a wide net over wisdom as we live in this fear-induced construct of ignorance. I am caught up in a landslide of thoughts as I fight the downward tumble of energies in our midst today. The debris of our human frailty fills the airwaves and suffocates the good that still exists in our hearts as we rumble and toil towards making sense of whom we are. We live in a world where freedom is written and spoken, yet the stigma of colonialism holds the people in a vice grip of institutional slavery that favors one race over another. While many remain in prison in glory days and others embrace a mindset that blankets the past with the morality of present day. I am not a nigger or my nigger. As James Baldwin said in his talk, Take This Hammer, it was an invented word. It was necessary for you, not me. It reflected the fears that dwells within to cover a false sense of superiority through the conquest and greed. I am human, Black, my walk. Not a condemnation of race, but a celebration of pigmentation. I simply speak my truth, and my truth fears no investigation. I pen these words as a free man of thought. I am the many times grandson of those who birthed the light from the dark. My blood is the blood of kings and queens, the architects of great civilizations. My ancestors experienced the good, the bad, and the ugly. I am the proud descendant of those for whom the yoke of oppression goes past the Atlantic, Africa, and Arabia, to when we felt the lash of pharaohs and sultans. Scattered to the four corners, our history hijacked, discredited, and whited out to keep us disconnected and uninspired. Families, culture, and our own sense of self rewired. Our men raped of their essence to be made boys, our women's virtue valued as concubine for amusement. While truth remained foreign to our minds, our tongues, our hearts. Their spirit, under constant barrage of hell's fire, humanity denied, bodies beaten, crushed beyond recognition as pleasure derived from having the race beaten beyond the molecular makeup that binds all life. Their daily bread barely enough to sustain life, never enough rest to honor the temple while praying on blood-stained knees, waiting for the judgment day of the master's sins. That was then. I call upon the spirits of my ancestors to guide my steps. I honor the sacrifice made by those by standing up to injustice in hopes of fueling a revolution where no pound of flesh is required as penance. I've looked within to love past the anger and hatred, to the wisdom welted upon your backs, hidden in the scarred and cracked lines in your face from years in the sun-baked fields, the thick and rubber-like skin of your hands from centuries of making bricks and picking cotton that built wealth for others, but never of your own. In the chambers of my soul, I hear your voices echoing the call for liberty that ties us in a single garment of destiny. Your songs of freedom stayed constant as you carried this burden because it was yours to carry. And as your ashes long return to the earth to enrich growth, the wind kicks up the dust of your bones as a reminder that that cannot be broken, and we await the awakening of our warrior souls. I issue a call to the four corners to all my brothers and sisters. Free your heart of fear to unshackle from the mental slavery of oppression. Know the truth about us, the truth that we are a mighty people. Know whose back took the lash before you raise your hands against your own. Know whose truth was denied before you speak with contempt and disrespect of your mother and sisters. Know the lives not lived before you want to end that of your brother. The time has come for us to take our rightful place in the race. Our lives have to matter to us. Our history, our true history must matter to us. It is no longer us versus us or even us versus them. Let us no longer be blind, deaf, and dumb as we embrace a mindset that casts out the insanity of indifference. We once dreamt of freedom. It is time to awaken from the experience of mental entrapment and no longer be our own plantation masters. We must be free within to live free together. Let us leave unto Caesar what is Caesar's and not attempt to fix what is not broken. It is time to build the new, which values all life. We are the fulfillment of prophecy that Malcolm, Frederick, and Martin, and Angela, and Shirley, and Mandela spoke of. Let us all get right with our history so we are not stuck in the hypocrisy of our history. For the time is upon us to walk with grace and dignity as we overcome and deliver on the promise of getting to the mountaintop. It is said that the truth shall set you free, but only if you're open to the truth that binds us. We all walk the same earth, breathe the same air, drink the same water. We all come from woman, and death will visit us all. Let us not be colorblind, but be human-sighted. Thank you.
I'm very grateful for that poem. As I, in my closing remarks, was going to talk a little bit about Martin Luther King's legacy, and I appreciate so much you bringing that poem, that the call to the four corners, and to make sure that history does not continue to be the hypocrisy that it has long been, and how can we make it right? And every single line in there spoke to the urgency of everyone, every single person participating in this endeavor. Thank you so much. Wow. Yeah. Please look at the messages in the chat. A call to record that poem further, so that even more people will be able to consider the poetry, but the necessity of the messages that you shared today. Thank you. I'm very, very grateful. All right, everyone, we are moving from one beautiful human to the next beautiful human. We will now hear from Joanna James. We're coming to the very close to the end of our time. We're going slightly over, so I think I could get everyone in. So we'll have Joanna James and then Scott Norman Rosenthal. Thanks, everybody.
Hi. I'm just so many blessings today. I'm really happy to be here. And I do think, Sandy, so many of us, you go through this with your parents and you don't forget the memories, but I'm glad that you have your mom there. I'm going to read, this poem is, I'm a dreamer, so I always bring a poem that you could imagine you're dreaming. And this is called The Tongue of Rain is Licking My Mind. My tongue licking rain moss, my tongue licking rain stone, flood of tongues ululating, chorus of frogs across my eyelids, sleep of dust in my synapses. Who can hold on in this flood? I shiver, I chatter, I tremble, the tongue of rain licking my tongue of rain. Forecast of nightmares in the source of rain, pale umbrella beneath those tense blackened clouds. There we go. I lost my pale umbrella beneath those tense blackened clouds, mountains brick red and lava heaping. Caffeine, another language, licking my brain. Truth blurred. That strand breaks and beads scatter. A doorway opens. I'm severed from sleep. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joanna. Always great to have you share a poem or poems with us, and thank you for your thoughts for my family. And yeah, we're just hoping we can go see my dad soon. And yeah, my mom appreciates that I'm here, and I appreciate that I could be with her, and all of, all will unfold as it's going to unfold. So all right, we have, as I said, just a few more readers. We will hear now from Scott Norman Rosenthal, and then David Meishin will be next.
Since tomorrow is a commemoration of Martin Luther King, closest I can come, one of my mentors actually worked directly with Dr. King. The closest I ever came was James Luther Bevel, who is now in some circles held in disgrace for things that he did in his past, but we set out to get a stay of execution for an individual. The action was credited with succeeding in that effort. And of course, I got sick in the Philadelphia jail because it was a disgrace. I don't know if it still is, but it was bad. Anyway, this is, I've read this before in this series, but I thought it was appropriate for today. Letter of congratulations to Polly Davies, March 2008, for Julia Utz and for Quinn Brisbane. One, we all live in history in a place called the world. My name is Scott. You don't need to dread. Not my voice or messages from this part of the world. It's referred somewhere in the Talmud. If you've saved a life, you've saved the world. Two, once upon a time, 11 people got arrested near a house. A judge lived in the house. 200 or so people stood between a man and a death chamber. Most of the people went away. 11 chose to confront. Word from council said that we pulled it off. Jim Bevel did it again. New reason for a maverick to be vilified. Talk and hypocrisy. Otherwise, those who didn't confront might be those who ran away. I almost left a worthless life, a muted voice in the jail, in the cold. It wouldn't look bad for what we were doing. 3, once upon a time, I intruded on an evening. You provided information to move beyond corruption into the decades through the world. For a worthless life, a muted voice. I won't apologize that intrusion. We've learned better than that. I'll congratulate you, Ms., for saving the world. Sandy, from the bottom of my heart, of course I'm concerned, but I must let you know, I'm not asking you not to do all the other remedies or anything or anybody, whatever. But one of my mentors taught me a little trick. It's biologically sound. I've actually had, if I may say so, I've had 3 Black mentors in my life. And I don't mean just friends, I mean mentors. And this man was a doctor and an alternative psychiatrist. Really, he was also an honest individual. Scrawny as I am, I have fought off all kinds of stuff, and I do get tested for COVID regularly. I will not take the booster because if I take the booster, I'm liable to lose my ability to walk. And that happens to be a fact. I don't know what to do about it either, other than, but he taught me to take 2 parts vitamin C to 1 part kelp. If you think it's ridiculous, do the research, or anybody that does. And I've gotten to, he avoided SARS, Dr. Leander Theodore Ellis, Leander T. Ellis. And I'm just saying because I'm concerned for your father, and if I kept shut up about it, you know, I still have to keep this pesky conscience going.
Yeah. I thank you. I thank you for sharing that. I thank you for sharing that.
It can't hurt to take it, and you can get it in any vitamin shop. It can't hurt. It's food. 2 parts C, 1 part kelp.
2 parts C, 1 part kelp. We've got it. I've got it. Thank you for being here, and thank you for the poem. And we're going to hear from now David Meishin, and then Catherine Ronan, and then we'll have a closing poem that Kim is prepared for us. She let me know she's got something she would like to share. And then I'll just make a few closing announcements. Thanks, everybody. David, so good to see you today. Oh, maybe David is, I think maybe David had to leave a little early. Okay. All right, I'm going to go to Catherine Ronan for our closing poem on the open mic then. Thanks to all of you who came, who read, and who, I know some of you wanted to read, and we wanted to get as many people in. I don't, you know, we've gone more than over, so I want to respect everybody. And take it away.
I wish you all the best, Sandy.
Thank you.
And thank you everybody for a fantastic evening. So I'm calling in from West Cork, near between Bandon and Clonakilty. That's where I am. This first fortnight in January is very important in Cork. We have a first fortnight festival to highlight the fact that more suicides happen in the first 2 weeks in January than any other time of the year. So I wrote this poem for the first fortnight festival, and I performed it at O'Vale last Monday night. So it's called Let Me Tell You How I Am. Let me tell you how I am. I am a warrior without tomahawk, a kite without wind, a well without water, a wizard without spell, a poet without poem, a book without cover, a crayon without fingers, an egg without shell, a candle without cake, a fairy without wings, an altar without prayer, a church without bell, a cracker without cheese, a beach without sand, a rider without horse, an ocean without swell, a painter without canvas, a night without moon, an evening without kiss, and only time will tell. But if you ask me how I am, I say, sure, I'm grand, just grand.
Catherine, it's always great when we get something brought to us that's been performed at O'Vale. Thank you for bringing a little bit of Cork to us this evening, and congrats on the anthology as well. Look forward to hearing more poems from that. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Kim, and then come back.
Thanks, everyone. And thanks to Fergus. We're all going to write a poem now called Wolf Moon, yeah?
Yeah,
Great.
indeed. There it is. All right.
Well,
Kim,
I want
up to you.
I'm here, my dear friend. I'm here. Can you hear me? I want to thank everyone for coming out and bringing their love tonight. It's been amazing. I'm going to just share a fragment with you, Sandy, from my heart, from my memory. And I'll share a link out to everyone with the video clip because we've gone so over time here. She holds my hand. I lean my face toward hers. We will always be together, I say. Snowdrops bloom at our feet. Brigadiers of hope. Love you very much, my friend. Peace, love, and poetry to you all. Thank you for nourishing us, for buoying Sandy with your fine, fine work and your fine, fine souls. Good night, everyone.
I would traditionally read off everyone's name, but again, we are quite over time. So I want to just invite you all to, let's unmute, give each other our deepest appreciation, and so grateful for all of you being here tonight and sharing your love of poetry and humanity. And it was just quite astounding to be with you all. So grateful. And
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy.
Amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great night.
Thank you for a great
All the best to
afternoon.
you and your family.
yeah, thank you. I'm
This is
really
my first time here.
Everybody, thanks for being here.
glad you were here. I'm glad you were here. First timers, and of course our dear repeat friends gathering today. We had folks from Greece and Scotland and Ireland and Israel and Canada and the US. And if I've missed anywhere, it's really so uplifting. And I know my mom and I are going to appreciate this and share with our family that that so many folks came out and sent us just such good wishes on this wolf moon on the eve of Martin Luther King Day. So I encourage you all to carry on the messages that our poets who invoked Dr. King. I encourage you to carry that over tomorrow in your work and your environment, and not just tomorrow, but of course every day. And I'm very glad that we could highlight those messages here in part today. Next week, we'll gather again for our new books showcase, and we are doing a little bit of work behind the scenes. So we'll be sending out messages as to who will be joining us next week in the new book showcase. But be assured, I know it's going to be a great reading. There is talk of a lot of villanelles will be part of the evening or the afternoon. So please do join us next Sunday. I am so grateful to each one of you that comes out on Sundays or watches or listens, but I'm really grateful today. And I'm very grateful to Don and Kim, of course, and to Kim for inviting folks to come out and share a little bit about my family story right now. And I know my whole family really appreciates every ounce of energy and light and love that you've sent our way, and it will not go unwasted. We will share that with my father and when I next have the opportunity. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. Please come back. And I hope I'll have some good news for you. I certainly know that whatever the path is what the path will be. And life and death are always holding hands. As I always say, joy and sorrow are always holding hands. And that's the essence of poetry too. So we'll gather again next week on Sunday for another great reading with such wonderful people. And I wish you all a very safe, healthy week. And as I always say every week, keep writing your poems. The world needs all your words. We'll see you next time. Thank you again. I love all of you. I'm so appreciative.